niyang kagustuhan. Nung una po, Mr. President, ayaw ko nga maniwala sa kanya. Kaya sinabi ko sa kanya, gumawa ka ng sulat, kahit sulat kamay, para sa ganun, walang masabi ang iba na parang ako pang nag-initiate sa'yo dahil hindi kita kakilala. Kailangan malaman muna natin kung ano ang laman ng iyong testimony. At kailangan ma-determine natin kung talagang meron kang may kukontribute na mga pangalan. Kasi importante na lumitaw ang mga pangalan ng mga taong talagang utak ng pagnanakaw na ito. Yun po ang pinag-umpisahan nun eh. Dahil mabigat ang kanyang gagawin, Mr. President, nakita ko sa kanyang kagustuhan na siya sumailalim sa Witness Protection Program. Kinilala ko naman yun, Mr. President. Malalagay nga sa alanganin ng buhay niya. Yun po naman ay nakalagay sa batas eh. Bakit ngayon akusahan ako na ako pa ang nagdidepensa sa kanya? Nandun naman po sa batas eh. Kaya nga po nang ipilit po ng ating DOJ Secretary na pinipilit niya magkaroon ng restitution, sinabi ko huwag mong gagawin yan. Wala naman sa batas yan eh. Ipipilit ninyo sa pamagitan ng memorandum ninyo na kahit wala sa batas para siya maging katanggap-tanggap na witness protection program witness, ay gagawin niyong mag-restitute siya. Wala po sa batas yun, Mr. President. Yun po yung nilalaban ko. Kung napagkamalan niya na dinidepensahan ko, hindi po pwede yung ganun, Mr. President. So ngayon, hanggang ngayon, pati ba naman ng asawa ko na independent director, kakalantariin pa rito, saan ba natin pag-uumpisa ng pag-uusap na ito? Pagkatapos, ipipilit na naman ninyo yung Kalayaan Island Group. Ano po ba patakaran dito, Mr. President? Ginoong Lacson? Kailangan bang samot-samot ang gagawin mo para sa isang privilege speech? Kayo po'y matagal na sa Senado. Alam ko po, kabisado nyo yung patakaran dito. Ang isang privilege speech nakatutok lang sa isang subject matter. Pero kung gagawin po ninyong samot-samot ito, at pagkatapos ay mag-uumpisa kayo na para bang ang nilalaman ng privilege speech ninyo puro ad hominem. Wala po tayong matatapos dito. Ang hangarin po natin dito ay yung subject matter na pinipilit natin sapagkat ito po ang inihintay ng taong bayan. Kung sasagutin ko po ng isa-isa at ang iba po'y sinagot ko na, ay lalayo po tayo. Ang akin pong tinatanong sa aking privilege speech kahapon ay bakit parang hindi ninyo pinagbigyan ang ibang mga tao na napakarami nilang dapat sabihin para sa ganun malaman natin ang katotohanan. Kayo po ang nagsabi, Senator Lacson, Mr. President, napupuntahan natin lahat ng lugar na kung saan ang ebidensya. Hindi po ba kayo po'y nagpahayag noon dito sa plenaryo, Mr. President, Senator Lacson, at sinabi nyo na ang presidente ay name drop ni Yusek Bersamin. Hindi ko man lang po nakita yung kanyang katauhan na ipinatawag nyo dito. Samantalang napakalaki ng dapat niyang ipaliwanag sapagkat kayo po ang nagsabi sa pamamagitan ng pagtitiwala ninyo sa ibinigay na testimony ni Yusek Bernardo na ni-name drop niya ang presidente. 100 billion pesos po pinag-uusapan dito na kung saan ang porsyentong tinanggap nila, sang-ayon din sa inyong pagpapahayag, ay 8 billion pesos. Nagtataka po kami, ang taong bayan, hindi nyo man lang pinatawag si Yusek Bersamin. Nagtataka din po ako. Alam po ninyo ito. Nakiusap, nagpresenta si ex-Governor Chavit Singson. At iminungkahi ko po sa inyo at ang sabi nyo, sige po, sa susunod na pagdinig natin, ay iimbitahan natin siya. Sapagkat marami raw siyang gustong ibahagi sa ating pagdinig tungkol sa mga project sa Ilocos. Ngunit hindi po nyo tinawag. Yun po yung pinagtataka. Ito po yung gusto ko sanang sagutin ninyo. Sa akin po, wala nang kwenta kahit na ako'y patutsadahan ninyo na ganito ako, ganito kami, ganyan. Hindi na po mahalaga sa akin yun eh. Ang mahalaga po, Mr. President, ang taong bayan ngayon na naghihintay ng kasagutan sa maraming katanungan nila kung magagawa pa natin na buklatin lahat ang dapat buklatin. Kilalanin kung sino dapat kilalanin. Ang gusto ko pa po sana, Mr. President, sana sagutin po ninyo, Senator Lacson.
May I respond, Mr. President? May I respond, Mr. President?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Mr. President, Your Honor, have you read the partial committee report?
Ganito po ang nangyari, Mr.
No, have you read
President.
the partial committee report? That is my question, Mr. President.
Binasa ko po, ngunit hindi ko po magawan ng paraan kung paano ko po itatrato. Kasi kahit na po ganun ang nangyari, tiningnan ko po eh. Kaya lang, sabi ko sa mga staff ko, nung mag-meeting kami, bakit ka ako wala man lang pirma ito? Ito po italiwas po sa inyong ipinahayag kahapon. Sinabi niyo
President,
rito,
If I may be
natanggap
allowed,
ko.
Mr. President.
Patapusin
If I may
niyo muna ako para may paliwanag ko kung bakit hindi man lang ako sumagot sa inyo dito sa ibinigay niyong material na ito. Kasi sinabi po ninyo, for one, I have it on record that his office already received a copy of the BRC Partial Committee report as early as February 11, both hard and soft copies, but he has not signed it, even with I dissent remark.
Wala ako.
It follows that as chairman, I was first to sign before routing the same contrary to his claim that I did not. Kahapon lang po namin nakita ito, Mr. President. Pero hawak ko po dito yung ipinrint naming kopya na nakuha lang namin sa isang link sa PDF document. Kami lang po nagprint nun. Wala pong pirma. Mr. President, we assume that it came from the office of Senator Lacson or probably from the Blue Ribbon Committee. I would not assume otherwise. So sabi ko, kung walang pirma ito, wala man lang covering letter, ano bang gagawin namin dito? Gagawin ba nating banderitas ito? Ganun po ba yung pagbibigay ng isang importanteng dokumento? Kung inaakala po yung importante ito, eh bakit wala naman pong pirma man lang? Sa akin
So
palagay, hindi po ganun ang pagtrato sa amin bilang miyembro ng Blue Ribbon Committee. Dapat man lang sana, kahit na initial nyo lang po at meron siguro kayong instruction doon, anong gagawin namin dito?
Now, before Senator Lacson responds, will you answer the question? Did you read it or not? That was the question.
Yes, Mr. President.
You read it. Okay, Senator Lacson, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. President. I mentioned it in my privilege speech. Binigyan po natin ng tikitigis ang kopya na may watermark ng kanilang opisina. Una, nagkaroon po tayo ng isang masamang experience na nag-leak yung nauna ng niroute na committee report. So naisip namin, para matunto natin kung saan opisina manggagaling ang leak, bigyan natin ng tikitigis ang kopya, hindi po talaga pipirmahan yun kasi advance copy po yun eh. Nasabihan po namin ang kanilang mga staff na kapag ready na sila na pumirma at nabasa na nila, hudyatan nila kami, ipapadala namin yung physical or yung hard copy. Nandun po yung signature page, nakapirma po ako doon. Hindi ko po pwede ikalat yon nang wala akong pirma kasi ako yung chairman. Hindi niyo po narinig yung aking paliwanag sa aking privilege speech na talagang walang pirma yung aming ikinalat sa bawat miyembro. Dahil yon para lang mapabilis kasi 400 pages po, alam ko magtatagal mabasa. So para simultaneously, isipin niyo po Mr. President, kung isang kopya lamang yon na aking igagala sa 17 o 20 miyembro ng Blue Ribbon Committee, isang taon po, baka hindi pa tapos mabasa. So gumawa kami ng nag-devise po kami ng isang pamamaraan para simultaneously, sabay-sabay nila mabasa with the advice to their staff na kapag nabasa na at ready ng pumirma, sabihan kami, dadali namin yung kopya na mayroong signature page at sa kanila pipirmahan. Katunayan kahapon po si Senator Bam Aquino. Binigyan namin sa kanya yung may signature page at pumirma siya. Hindi po matatapos kung yung 467 yata na pages, iisa-isahin namin iikot. Mahirap po. Gumawa na nga kami ng paraan para matakil na sa floor, ma-defend ko, at makamove forward tayo na tulad ng binanggit ko sa aking privilege speech, simula na tayo uli ng mga panibagong pagdinig. Ngayon, sinabi po ni Senator Marcoleta na bakit hindi inimbitahan si Undersecretary Bersamin. Kaya ko po tinanong, kung nabasa niya na yung report, kung meron po siya may ipakita sa akin doon sa committee report o doon sa TSN, doon sa minutes ng pagdinig na nabanggit ang pangalan ni Undersecretary Bersamin. Bukas na bukas din po o bigyan natin 3-day notice rule. Tatawag po ako ng pagdinig, ipapatawag natin si Undersecretary Bersamin. Ang binabanggit niya po yung aking interpellation sa DBCC na kung saan si Undersecretary Bernardo gumawa ng personal na sulat kay Pangulong Bongbong Marcos. At sinasabi niya doon na ito yung mga personalidad na alam niya, na naalala niya na merong allocable at kung ano-ano pa. Wala po sa Blue Ribbon Committee minutes yun. Sa labas po yan sa plenaryo, sa DBCC, sa National Budget Deliberation. So kung may papakita po sa akin ng ating kasamahan, Senator Marcoleta, na mayroong isang mention sa affidavit o sa salaysay ni Undersecretary Bernardo na binanggit si Undersecretary Bersamin, di tumawag po tayo ng pagdinig at mag-motion siya na ipatawag kung sino man ang gusto niya ipatawag. Ngayon, si Governor Chavit Singson, wala naman pong paliwanag. Ano po yung ite-testify? Konektado po ba sa issue at hand, which is the flood control projects? Kung konektado po, sana sumulat po siya sa chairman at sinabi niya, ito yung lalamanin ng ite-testify o ito yung naka-attach yung draft affidavit ni Governor Chavit Singson. Sino naman ako para tumanggi na ipatawag kung sino man yung resource person? Nagpadala nga siya ng surprise witness, siya lang nakakaalam eh. Hindi ko po inawat eh.
Mr. President.
No, sandali po, hindi pa ako tapos. At nung hinanap kong pilit, pinagtanong ko yung mga addresses, lahat ng mga kakilala ni Gutesa. At inalam po namin sa pamamagitan ng CCTV footage, baka naman merong sumalubong o merong kasama na pwede natin matunton kung nasan si Gutesa. Ganun po kasi ang aking pagnanais na talagang get to the bottom of this issue. Pero bigla po nawala eh. Ano po magagawa ko?
Mr. President, wala nga pong nakasulat dun sa transcript tungkol nga po dun sa binanggit niya sa plenary na pangalang Adrian Bersamin. Paano nga pong mababanggit doon, Mr. President? Hindi nga niya pinatawag eh. Samantalang dapat niyang ipatawag, siya mismo ang nag-highlight. Isip-isipin po ninyo, nagawa po ni Senator Lacson na isama sa plenary debates ng ating 2026 budget. Ganun ka-importante ang bahagi na yun, Mr. President. Hindi ba dapat ipinahayag mo yun eh. Malaking bagay yun. Ibinulgar mo pa nga eh. There are 2 public officials I will reveal this morning. Ganun lang. At hindi mo pinatawag. Kung pinatawag mo yun, malinaw na malinaw, nalagay sana sa transcript. Ganun lang naman ang ibig sabihin eh. Sa mga tweet, iniwasan po, Mr. President, para hindi malagay sa transcript. Pagkatapos ikakatwiran po ninyo, kung nasa transcript, di sana pinatawag ko. Baligtad po ang ginawa ninyo, Mr. President. Katulad din po sa 30 Nara Streets of South Forbes. Ilan po yung binanggit ng mga tao doon? Hindi ko po sinasabing totoo yun, pero for purposes of the inquiry and investigation, kung talagang ganun, kalawak ang inyong pananaw, dahil pati nga po yung pagpunta ni Gutesa, pati CCTV po pinakita ninyo. And dami po sana ang pagkakataon na nakita sana lahat ng mga binanggit ni Saldico na mga ginamit na sasakyan. Makikita doon sa pagitan ng alas 9 hanggang alas 10 ng umaga. Tawagin natin yung kung sino man yung security agency doon. Pero hindi po ninyo ginawa. Pero sasabihin po natin, you wanted to emphasize one point. Kung nasaan ang ebidensya, ay talagang pupuntahan natin. Kayo po ang inconsistent eh. Pagkatapos ako ang sasabihin ninyong inconsistent. Ang dami po eh. Nakiusap ako na, sabi nga natin, Ang dami pong tumuturo sa pangalan ni Martin Romualdez. Inimbita po ninyo, hindi dumating, nakiusap ako, naimbitahan uli. Ang sabi po ninyo sa magitan ng inyong interview, kung pupunta siya rito, welcome. Kung hindi siya pupunta, wala tayong magagawa because of inter-parliamentary courtesy. Mr. President, hindi po karaniwang pagnanakaw ang nangyari sa kasaysayan ng ating bansa. Hindi po ba ninyo naiisip, mismong kabang bayan ang tumagilid, pagkatapos magtatago kayo sa prinsipyo o doktrina ng inter-parliamentary courtesy? Kung ako po ang chairman ng Blue Ribbon Committee, Mr. Chair, Mr. President, hindi ko po igagalang interparliamentary immunity sapagkat ang pinag-uusapan dito interes ng mamamayan. Huwag po tayong magtago kung saan-saan. Sinabi po ninyo, Mr. President, Senator Lacson, yung Apostille Convention. Hindi ba pinahayag po ninyo sa isang pag-i-interview ninyo na kung si saldi ko lamang ay makakuha ng isang subscribe statement, kahit sa Zoom lang, ipatatawag namin siya. Bakit hindi po ganun ang ginawa ninyo? Pwede naman siyang mag-Zoom pagkatapos na magkaroon ng apostilled sworn statement. Bakit hindi po ninyo ginawa? Meron naman pong Zoom eh. Natatakot yung tao. Nanganganib ang kanyang buhay. At palagay ko naman, nanganganib nga talaga. Iintay pa po ninyo na humarap sa inyo? Pwede naman ang Zoom eh. Kung talagang gusto nyong tuntunin ang lahat ng mga ebidensya na dapat nating puntahan. Ito po yung pinupunto ng aking privilege speech kahapon. Hindi ko nga po alam na kapag ako po ang magdi-deliver ng privilege speech, Mr. President, palagi po kayong nawawala. Kasi nga, nasa bandang huli na po ako eh. Pero kung talagang gusto nyo lamang, alam nyo naman na sa agenda po natin kung sino po ang tatayo para mag-deliver ng privilege speech eh. Ayoko pong isipin na sinasadya ninyo. Ngunit narinig naman po ninyo eh. Mr. President, pagkatapos isasama yung Kalayaan Island Group, ano po ba talagang pinag-uusapan natin dito? Yung kapakanan ng bayan, pinipilit po niyong pinagtatanggol ko ang China. Sa March 12 po, Mr. President, Senator Lacson, sana po may panahon kayo, sapagkat ipinatawag ko sa magitan ng isang resolution, at ito po ay alam na ni Senator Erwin. Pinatawag ko po ang NAMRIA, pinatawag ko po ang Philippine Coast Guard, Philippine Navy, ang DFA, pinatawag ko rin po si Justice Carpio at saka yung professor sa UP. At kung sino man po ang interesado, pero once and for all, malaman po natin dito kung sino ang sinungaling, kung sino ang makatsina, kung sino ang nagagaling-galingan at nagpapanggap na expert in international law. Sana po, Senator Lacson, nandun po kayo.
Mr. President, may we hear from the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee? Because his name was mentioned. May I just confirm if indeed he will call for a hearing and invite those people mentioned, Mr. President? With due respect.
Well, as requested, if you would like to respond, Senator Erwin Tulfo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This morning, I have received a letter from the Department of Foreign Affairs citing that they cannot attend, including NAMRIA, Mr. Chair, and we have already written to the various chiefs of staff of the members of the Committee on Foreign Affairs. They cited, including NAMRIA, that they cannot attend because of the fact that it is a matter of national security, Mr. President. And I also have a copy that will be sent to your office, Mr. President. The reason given by NAMRIA, the Armed Forces of the Philippines, and the Department of Foreign Affairs, Mr. President.
In other words, Mr. President, the gentleman from Pampanga and Tarlac is confirming something that is not confirmed.
Mr. President, that is too much of a statement. Kausap ko pa lamang ang chairman at kaming dalawa po nagkakausap at niremind pa nga ako noong mga nakarang araw na March 12, okay ka na. So, ang sabi ko sa kanya, ito po ang dapat nating maimbitahan. Bakit naman po nagkaroon ng issue sa national security ang pagdinig tungkol sa usapin sa West Philippine Sea, Mr. President? Ito na naman po ba ay patakaran para ilihis na naman? Hindi po pag-uusapan dito kung ano-ano mang klaseng teritoryo ang pag-uusapan dito. Ang pag-uusapan lang natin ay yung masigalot na pinalalaki nila at hindi nila maintindihan na walang kamatay ang West Philippine Sea. Nakalagay po kasi sa Administrative Order number 29, dated 2012, Mr. President. 14 na taon nang nakararaan, minanduhan mismo ang NAMRIA at ang DFA na mag-submit ng mapa at mga charts sa opisina ng United Nations General, as UN Secretary General, at inotify ang lahat ng international organizations katulad ng IHO. Ano po bang ibig sabihin nun, Mr. President? Alam po ba ito ni Senator Lacson, yung Administrative Order number 29?
This is something between the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee and the gentleman from Tarlac and Pampanga, Mr. President.
Hindi po, tinatanong ko po kayo.
No,
kasi,
I don't know Administrative Order number 29.
Oh,
Mr.
hindi
President.
po ninyo alam, sasabihin ko sa inyo.
I don't
Ulitin
need to
ko.
know, Mr. President. I'm not interested.
Hindi po kayo interesado sa isang bagay na napaka-importante sa ating bansa? Hanggang ngayon, hindi ma-drawing ang West Philippine Sea. Hindi kayo interesado?
Hindi po ko rin interesado sa sinasabi ninyo.
Maring hindi po kayo sinasabi na interesado sa
Kasi,
sinasabi ko.
no,
Ngunit
this
ang sasabihin ko, interesado ang buong Pilipinas. Sapagkat ito, dito nakasalalay po kung sino nagsasabi ng totoo. So ayaw po ninyong malaman ang totoo, Ginoong Lacson?
Kasi po, Mr. President, ang ipapalabas na naman niya, yung China, may karapatan dyan sa lugar na yan. Kaya ayoko na po marinig kasi ilang beses na po natin narinig yan, medyo masakit na sa tenga eh.
Alam po
Kaya
ninyo,
sinasabi ko po, ayoko na
alam po ninyo,
marinig
Mr.
kung nanggagaling sa kanya, Mr. President.
Si Senator Lacson po ay, ang pagkakaalam ko, isang magaling na investigador. Eh ngayon po pala yung manghuhula na. Paano po niya nahulaan? Ang sasabihin ko ay,
The debate is going into motives and all of that. So, motu proprio, the presiding officer declares the session suspended.
We're bringing developing news.
And the stories behind the headlines is Historicon. I'm Regina Lay.
You've been watching very fascinating developments in the Senate.
How do we describe it? An exchange of words between Senate President Pro Tempore Ping Lacson and Senator Rodante Marcoleta. But first, let's bring in from the Philippine Star, EIC, Amy Pamintuan. Hi, Amy.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
Happy Thursday.
Saya ng
Happy
ano,
ba kayo?
Parang maaliwalas yung mga suot ni Ami simula
Tuesday pa lang, Amy. Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
It's only Tuesday.
Oh, may sinasabing ating resident fashion expert. Oh.
Maaliwalas yung mga suot ni Ami simula kahapon.
Summer na eh.
Teka lang.
Tapos na daw yung
Parang
papasok na
makakalimutan
summer,
mo yung
tapos
kwan
na
eh,
yung laninnya.
Makakalimutan mo yung away sa Senado pag nakikita mo si Ami.
Kamusta naman yung seat mo? May narinig akong fake news
Oh.
Ako daw ang nagsabotahe sa chair mo.
Parang may nagtanggal ng tornilyo. Tagal ko na wala. Ito pagbalik ko. May nagtanggal ng tornilyo. Di ba?
So, sinong prime suspect? Napakasakto, no?
Eh, parang iisa lang naman yung galit sa akin dito. Di ba?
What? May galit sa'yo?
Alam ko
Uy, hindi
galing
ako
sa
yun
una
na.
eh.
Just to set the record straight, I didn't touch his chair. Sana naisip ko, pero hindi ko naisip yun.
No, he's not
doon ka
referring to
sa-
not referring to tornillo sa chair. Referring to the tornillo sa
Sa utak.
Pero doon ka magpaliwanag
Dito
sa
galing.
presinto. No? Doon ka na magpaliwanag. Sabi nga ni Marcoleta. Akala ko magaling na investigador.
Yan pala mga hula.
Just before they went to break.
Oo. Tingin ko, parang nakikita ko lang yung mga thought bubbles ni Senator Ping Lacson. Nagpipigil siya eh. Talagang very
What
subdued.
happened that got us to this point?
I mean, I suppose you were watching the entire time, no?
Yeah.
Oh. Parang may hugot sila sa nangyari kahapon. Ano ba yung nangyari kahapon? Hindi ko na ano yung kahapon eh. Kasi may reference si Ping na yung kanyang talumpati kanina, yung privilege speech niya kanina, appears to be a reaction to something that Marcoleta said yesterday, among other things.
Meron yatang privilege speech kahapon si Marcoleta, di ba?
Yun ang ano.
Kaya nagsalita ngayon si Ping Lacson.
But what was
Eh,
that about?
yung hindi ko
Do you know?
hindi ko nakuha yung ano.
Kasi mainit yung ano, mainit kanina yung
Oo.
privilege speech ni Ping Lacson.
He went on
Although alam
for...
naman natin ang ano, isa lang naman yung direction ng sinasabi ni Marcoleta. Dalawa lang naman bagay yan. Yung isa dun sa West Philippine Sea. Wala naman daw tayong mapa defining the West Philippine Sea. Isa yun. At
Okay.
pangalawa, yung Blue Ribbon. Bakit daw hindi pinapatawag sila Martin Romualdez? At saka yung, in this case, yung 18 Marines. Saka yun, dinagdag na niya si Chavit Singson. All about the flood control.
And also, there was reference to the Discayas, at least yung sa speech ni Ping kanina, yun nga, parang lumalabas na as per Ping.
Nag-aabogado siya kaya, no?
si
Nag-aabogado siya sa mga
Marcoleta
Diskaya.
for the Discayas. So, ganun back and forth on several issues that
Yes.
happened throughout the past few months.
Ang
Yung pala,
galit
bakit
yata
daw hindi
ni...
pinapatawag si Yusek Bersamin, si Adrian Bersamin?
Ang problema
Dagdag yun.
yata ni...
Although mga luma na yan, mga dati na
Oo,
sinasabi
dati na.
yan ni
Dati na yan.
Marcoleta.
Oh.
Oo.
Ang
Kaya
sa mga,
ewan ko.
galit yata ni Senator Ping, may babanggitin si Marcoleta, tapos babawiin. Diba? Katulad yung ipamigay na yung kay IG, hindi daw niya sinabi yon. Tapos yung treason kay Justice Carpio. Tapos itong away nila kay Speaker Martin, na dati pa yan nasabi ni Ping, pwede nating imbitahan dito, pero hindi natin pwedeng pilitin. Dahil meron silang
Interparliamentary
courtesy, no? Pwedeng imbitahin din yung senador sa House, pero hindi pwedeng pilitin. So, mga ganun bang issue na ang tingin ni Senator Ping, dati pang na-resolve yan tapos hinihirit na naman. No? Kaya medyo, hindi ko naman sasabihin na nasira yung composure ni Senator Ping. Medyo naasar lang.
Sumugot ba?
Yeah.
Sumugot ba?
So it started because apparently yesterday, question ni Senator Marcoleta si Senator Ping on why he did not hold a hearing on the claims of the 18 alleged
Marines.
former
18.
Marines. Sila po yung nagsabi that they delivered suitcases of cash to a number of officials at the behest of former Congressman Zaldi Co.
18 former soldiers.
Well,
Mostly former.
mostly, hindi pa, sabi ng army that not all of them are, sabi ng Marines pala, that not all of them were with them in the past. And in fact, most of them were dishonorably discharged. Merong pinoint out yung Marines na there's at least 4 names in there that they do not recognize. That's why kino-confirm pa natin if they were
Tapos
former soldiers.
Sabi ni Senator Ping Lacson, ay hindi na 18, 14 na lang. Dahil may 4 to 5 daw na bumaliktad na at testify laban doon sa mga kasama nila.
Oh, okay.
Pagbukas ng Justice Committee hearing. No? Yun ang sabi ni Ping.
Justice Committee sa House.
Ni Trillanes, ni Senator Trillanes last week. Na hindi na yan 18, 14 na lang. Tapos yung 4 or 5.
But they have gone missing. All 18 of them, di ba dapat they were
Mukhang
supposed to...
lalabas na sila.
Lalabas na.
Kaya lang naman daw nagtago dahil may security risk. Pero dati pang binabanatan ni Ping yung kanilang narrative. Parang hindi ganun ka-probable yung nangyari. Yung sa ICC, yung kay Laila de Lima, at saka yung 805 billion.
Mahirap daw ilagay dun sa suitcase.
Oo.
Yung ganong karaming cash.
Kahit everyday, 500 million, hindi ganun kadali.
Oo.
So, yung mga ganun ba? Kaya siguro nagalit si Marcoleta.
So what you're hearing is may mga bumaliktad na naman. So ang bilis ang turnover naman.
Sabi ni Senator Trillanes, no? Siyempre, we have yet to see kung meron nga. Pero ayan, kinasuhan na sila ni Bucor Chief Katapang. Nadawit din sa Maleta.
Actually, most of them have filed complaints
kinasuhan na rin
Pati,
si
na
Ed Lima.
pati si Security
Anyo.
Advisor Eduardo Anyo. Correct.
Flavie Villanueva.
Oo, marami na nagkaso. Tsaka disbarment. Halimbawa, si General Katapang, disbarment yung kinaso kasabay nung libel kay Baligod. No? Ang hinihintay ko na lang yung disbarment kay Suntay at saka kay Topacio.
Bok, let's bring in our Senate reporter, si mobile journalist Merimon Reyes. Merimon, ano nangyayari ngayon dyan?
Enjoy ka ba, Mary
Hi,
Mon?
Mary Mon. Napaka-exciting lagi sa inyo, no?
Nako, medyo jam-packed yung plenary session ngayong hapon kasi nga itong si Senate President Pro Tempore Ping Lacson kasi sa pagsisimula ng privilege speech niya, una yan sinabi was ayaw niya naman na raw talaga itong gatungan pero parang tinatawag na talaga siya ng oras para magsalita and sagutin yung ilang mga nabatong komento and even yung pag-address ni Senator Ping sa naging behavior ni Senator Rodante Marcoleta sa Senado noong nagpa-participate din siya sa mga pagdinig ng Blue Ribbon. Lahat yan in-address ni Senator Ping kanina. And ngayon, ongoing yung kanilang interpellation proper na nag-uusap din sila. And nasabi pa ni Senator Marcoleta na parang VIP daw itong si Senator Ping pagkatapos ng privilege speech niya. Pero sumingit naman doon na si Majority Floor Leader Senator Mig Zubiri na dahil nga itong privilege speech ito, so nag-respond lang din siya at nabanggit nga si Senator Marcoleta. So binigyan sila rin ngayon ng pagkakataon na ipagpatuloy kasi bukod dyan may mga nakapila pa na resolutions, na bills for adoption or for approval kaya medyo mukhang matatagalan pa itong session ngayong hapon. Yung ilan sa mga kinwestiyon ni Senator Ping is yung affiliation ulit ni Senator Marcoleta sa mag-asawang kontratista si Sara at Curly Discaya. Yung affiliation at kung may coaching bang ginagawa itong si Senator Marcoleta sa dating Marina si Orly Gutesa na sinabi ni Senator Ping they're trying to reach out pero hanggang sa araw na ito after nung pagdinig na nag-participate itong si Gutesa nowhere to be found pa rin itong si Orly. Sinagot din ni Senator Ping na si Senator Marcoleta, contrary sa sinabi niya, ay mayroong binigay na kopya ng Partial Blue Ribbon Committee Report. Digital copy ito, nagpakita ng picture ng email sa staff sa opisina ni Senator Marcoleta, itong si Senator Ping. At this is for their advanced reading daw. And a month ago pa raw yun. So taliwas ito sa napabanggit ni Senator Marcoleta na wala raw siya kesyong nakikita pa yung, kumbaga yung opisyal na kopya rin ng committee report. Pero ang sabi rin ni Senator Ping, so far, si Senator Bam Aquino pa lang daw ang nag-a-affix ng kanyang signature doon sa committee report. At dito nire-respeto niya naman daw yung oras kung kailan magnanod o magbibigay ng signature yung mga members ng committee. Pero so far, si Senator Bam pa lang daw ang pumipirma doon sa BRC partial report.
Pero Mary Mon, ano yung immediate trigger? Dahil itong mga issues na binanggit mo, matagal na yan ongoing na yan
They've
di ba?
been percolating.
Oo. Pero itong para dito sa debate na ito, ano yung immediate trigger kahapon?
Well, Ronald, kasi ang nasabi ni Senator Ping, parang hindi sa isa niya mula nung yung sa KIG remarks ni Senator Marcoleta na sinasabi ni Senator Marcoleta, naglabas daw yung isang kulig niya ng spliced version na tapos gusto pa raw ipa-amend sa records, sa journal ng CA. Kasama na rin dito yung naging participation ni Senator Marcoleta sa pagdinig ng Blue Ribbon, nung naging chair itong Senator Marcoleta, tapos naging member na kesyo tinanggap pa rin daw nila yung sworn affidavit ni Orly Gutesa kahit nowhere to be found na pagkatapos ng participation nito sa pagdinig. Even yung pagkukol naman ni Senator Marcoleta na bakit wala raw hearing na pinapatawag ang Blue Ribbon tungkol naman doon sa allegations na binato ng 18 uniformed men. So marami-rami yung nagmukhang lumabas na trigger na ang sabi ni Senator Ping, once and for all daw, sasagutin niya lahat ito for the record ngayong araw.
So, hindi yung speech, walang speech kagabi si Marcoleta kasi parang yun ang narinig ko kanina.
Yes, Ami, kasama rin yan. Yung naging privilege speech. Dito nga nagkaroon ng pagko-call out naman si Senator Marcoleta kay Senator Ping. And then, even sa mga lumipas na araw, nilabas din kasi nung nagpi-privilege speech itong si Senator Ping ng mga interviews ni Senator Marcoleta sa ilang mga programa na binabatikos itong si Senator Ping sa naging direksyon ng Blue Ribbon. Kaya lahat yun nag-take ng time para kanina sa pagpapaliwanag ni Senator Ping sa side niya. Ang nasabi pa nga niya dito on the case of the Kalayaan Island Group remark saang side daw ba ng South China Sea naka-side etong si Senator Marcoleta? Kasi yung mga sinasabi raw ni Senator Marcoleta is same sa Chinese narratives. Kaya doon niya kinwestiyon yung part na yun sa kung saan daw kinatatayuan talaga ni Senator Rodante. Pero ang isa pang na-bring up din sa pagkakalala natin is yung interparliamentary courtesy na kine-question palagi raw ni Senator Marcoleta pagdating sa pag-iimbita ng mga kongresista sa pagdinig ng Blue Ribbon. And then parang naging rhetorical question naman dito ni Senator Ping kung ang Kamara raw kaya magpatawag ng pagdinig tungkol sa salin ng mga senador or kung etong si Senator Marcoleta imbitahan, pangahawakan niya rin daw ba yung interparliamentary courtesy o bubuwagin niya yung idea na to, yung tradisyon nga na may courtesy na hindi na it's either an invitation or hindi mo pwedeng pilitin yung kongresista na pumunta or ng senador in this aspect doon nga sa pagdinig. So maraming rhetoric questions na binabalik itong si Senator Ping bilang pagsagot kay Senator Marcoleta.
I suppose yung papyaw na yan has to do with Marcoleta's salin versus the contributions
Yes.
that he received for the 2025 elections.
Yes, Bok. Tama. Yun.
Actually,
Ibalak pa ba yung Blue Ribbon? Magkakaroon pa ba ng hearing? Kasi yung kanyang report, yung nakita natin yung na-leak, na magkakaroon pa ng for further investigation, yung mga sila Speaker Romualdez, yung mga sila Adrian Bersamin, magkakaroon pa ba?
Ami, ang huling nasabi kasi dyan ni Senator Ping, mga 1 or 2 hearings na lang daw ang gagawin ng Blue Ribbon na related sa maanumalyang flood control projects. Yun yung huling nasabi niya. But so far sa nakikita nating schedule dito sa Senado, even sa papalapit na adjournment ng session, hindi pa natin nakahagilap ulit ang schedule ng Blue Ribbon Committee. Pero yung last na naging hearing ng BRC, tungkol naman ito sa BIR, yung Letters of Authority. Kaya it's either, pag may nakita, ang titingnan natin kung magkakaschedule ang Blue Ribbon, on BIR ba o etong sa maanumalyang flood control projects or other issues na nakapila sa committee.
actually, talking about yung Comelec case, dapat tanungin natin yung Comelec, ano na ba nangyari doon sa kaso ni Chis Escudero at yung kaso ni Marcoleta? No? Dahil parang in limbo yung mga issues na yon. Pero very compelling Dahil yan yung hahawak ng ating eleksyon. Yan yung nag-check ng mga violations. So ano na status niyan?
Di ba may chismis ka dyan, Ronald? Pero palagay ko hindi mo sasabihin dito.
Hindi, malay mo sabihin.
Ingit ka sa chair mo,
Ha?
Mukhang everything is in limbo ngayon sa Senate.
Oh, pero yung
Ano ang chismis?
yung kay Chis kasi,
anomalya.
dahil may kaso na nakasampa, so yung ginawa ng isang department ay hindi napapansinin masyado yon. Yung NBank na ngayon ang mag-desisyon.
Yes, because nag-decide na yung political committee, tapos
Yes.
pinasa sa unbank, tapos inaantay natin the decision of the unbank.
May kaso na kasi, official.
But
No?
that was so many months ago.
That was their...
Yes.
Yeah.
Tapos
Tapos
itong kay Marcoleta,
ibang taon pa yun
yes, tapos itong kay Marcoleta, very clear din ito No? Siya mismo ang umamin in public na yung kanyang nireport ay hindi totoo. So ano nangyari doon? Mga commissioners ng Comelec, ano na naging decision diyan? 'Di ba? Mga kanyan possible landmark cases, no, which will determine the future ng mga katulad nila na may possible anomaly diyan sa campaign spending.
Well, we'll try Comelec, see if we could get an update on all of this. But
Yeah.
So, Mary Ma'am,
For now,
teka, di ba sa point kasi nagkakainitan na sila, yung dalawa, at kaya nagtawag ng recess si Tito Sen. Pero sabi mo nga, balik na sila sa
Tuloy pa
sa
rin.
ere. Ibig sabihin, lumamig na ngayon o mainit pa rin?
Well, so far kasi nung iniwan natin yung session floor, medyo mabigat yung aura. Even yung mga kapwa senador,
Yung aura.
medyo tahimik sa paligid. Nag-observe din sila. Nung nagsisimula sa privilege speech, itong si Senator Ping, ang nakita ko was si Senator Amy Marcos, dumaan siya saglit kay Senator Marcoleta. Parang tinapik yung balikat. And then, tumayo naman si Senator Marcoleta sa staff niya. Mukhang may kinukuha. Yun yung hawak niya siguro na papel in response sa naging privilege speech ni Senator Ping. But then again, we'll find later on kung paano ba yung magiging epekto nito sa dynamics nitong mga senador.
Yeah.
Wala pa, they haven't resumed yet.
We're getting
So,
word na still on recess.
They're still on recess. I guess they're talking it over behind the scenes, but we'll let you go para makabalik ka na sa loob and you can continue monitoring. Thanks for your reporting, mobile journalist Merimon Reyes.
Salamat, Merimon.
Thanks, Mary
Thank you po.
Mon.
So ano yung sinasabi ni Ami na may alam kang hindi mo
Hindi niya yan
sinasabi?
sasabihin. O, sabi sa'yo. Hindi siguro nagbabasa
Asan
si
yung tumilyo mo?
Marcoleta ng
Kaya nga,
digital
yun yung
version.
inisip ko. I was like, and this time, wag mo na hawakan, okay? Kaya,
Gagano na ako ba?
Sabi ko na nga ba eh. Mas gusto talaga niya, bumalentong ako at mauntog yung ulo ko eh.
Bumalentong. The word you're using is from what generation? Bumalentong.
hindi ko na nga tinanong eh.
70s yun, 70s.
Bumalentong. But I learn something new every day, no? Okay.
Di pa kasi diretsuhin na lang eh. May mga paganon-ganon pa eh.
Plausible deniability. Oh, di ba? Okay, we have to go on a very quick break. You're watching Storycon. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.
We've got developing news in the stories behind the headlines. Welcome back to Storycon, the Story Conference. I'm Ed Lingao.
And I'm Regina Lay. Still with us, Amy Pumantuan of Philippine Star and Ronald Llamas, our resident political pundit. Let's,
Talaga ito ang heckler.
this one by Heckler.
Parang
Okay.
bumababa siya konting level eh. No?
Heckler. Let's bring in our first guest for today. We're talking to Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, or PCCI Chair Emeritus, George Barcelon. Good afternoon. Welcome to Storycon,
Welcome back, sir.
Good afternoon,
Yes,
sir.
good afternoon, Regina.
Nice to see you again.
Yes.
Sir, the last time kasi...
I was, yeah.
Yes, sir. The last time we talked to you, wala pang figures dun sa oil price increases for this week. That was the last time we talked to you.
That's right.
Yesterday, klaro na. Ang laki ng itataas, for example, diesel as high as 24.50 per liter.
24-25.
Oh,
Yeah.
how do you think the effect is gonna be sa manufacturing? Well, business.
Well, definitely. It's the increases is understandable. No, it's not that because of what's happening with the prices of crude oil. There were projections that it might go beyond 100, but lately there was some statement that was made by President Trump that this war in Israel and Iran would be over very shortly. Now, we hope that will happen, but we know in past geopolitical conflicts between Russia and Ukraine, everybody thought it's going to be over in a few months, but it dragged on for 4 years. So it's really hard to say, but we're keeping our fingers crossed. Now, the shorter, the better, because otherwise, the uncertainty when it's dragged on for a long time, it's very hard for businesses and the geopolitical turmoil all over the world. You know how bad it is now in Middle East. All the flight of international flights has been canceled, has been delayed, and it's taking its toll in this trade and commerce side.
Chairman, long before itong usapin sa pag-suspend ng excise tax, ay pumosisyon na kayo, one of those rare moments, employers and labor, capital and trade unions, nag-unite na dapat naman isuspend itong excise tax para bigyan ng counting breathing space yung consumers as well as yung ating capital. No? That was several months ago. No? Ito ngayon, ito na naman ang usapin, itong excise tax. Anong tingin nyo rito?
Yes.
No?
Ang tingin namin, yung tama yung sinabi mo, nag-joint force kami na yung TUCP, no? The labor union, kung pwede sa gobyerno para makatulong sa negosyante, maski na yung VAT sa kuryente, kung pwede lang tanggalin. And again, of course, now with what's happening, we're following it through with the sana man removal of the excise tax on oil. No, those are all primarily to mitigate the impact of the high price. We can understand that the excise tax is also a revenue stream for the government, and we just hope that the government would be able to work out something wherein in the meantime everybody would be suffering. No, the pronouncement of the government is now yung 4-day work. But we are also hoping that there will be clearer policies. No? When you say 4-day work, ano bang ibig sabihin? Ano bang government agencies? Like the customs, which is very crucial in the trade aspect, mahirap na, you shipments are delayed, both import and exports. Also on the financial. I take it that we have past experience before, no? During the COVID times, where people are not allowed to work on premise, but all of these functions of the crucial government agency must continue providing that kind of a service.
Of course, the problem with cutting or suspending the excise fuel taxes is, of course, that's less revenue for the government. And in fact, ang estimate ng DOE at this point is if they cut it from May to December of this year, they will lose 136 billion pesos. Now, on the other side of that, a few days ago, we had data showing that the government debt is already at a record high at this point, 18 trillion pesos. In short, we need every peso that we can get. What about the other solutions? What other solutions are you seeing there? If it's not to suspend excise taxes, and I know Congress is already talking about that, but wouldn't targeted subsidies be more effective at this point, sir?
Well, I'd like to think that although most of our budget for the different government agencies are part of the GAA, that they have to really review and those budget, and where certain agencies can do without that big an amount, some amount can be repurposed for this as contingency for this sudden event, no, of uncertainty. Sad to say, we know very well in the past the money that is made available, if they're not spent wisely or they're being stolen, it's at the you're sacrificing the kind of services that the public needs badly. So I'd like the government to really review and put priority on some of the money where it could be properly allocated to help us deal with the situation, the critical situation as of now. No? And I can see that the social services might be impacted. And I also raised the question, how about the students, the schools? Are they going to go back to, possibly if this is going to be prolonged, are they going to do the study from home? Like in the offices, we've been again discussing about the possibility of work from home, and all of this comes into play pending the results of what's happening in this Middle East conflict.
Ang sinasabi
Mr.
niyo, Chair,
Barcelon, yung suspension ng yung suspension ng excise taxes. Kasi ang isang impact ng fuel cost is on logistics, no? And I know that the business community has been complaining for a long time about high logistics cost. Kapag ganyan, you will be passing on, di ba? Sa consumer,
Yeah.
sa sakali. Yung presyo ng langis tumaas, pupunta siya sa consumer at maapektuhan din lahat.
Okay. Kaya Amy, sinabi ko kanina, dapat ng gobyerno mag-review sila ng mga yung allocated funds, no? I don't want to bring this up, but since we're discussing about the debt of the government that's hitting 18 trillion. Ang 18 trillion na yan, yung debt servicing, umaabot na more than 1 trillion a year. And the amount of trillion for us is more visible Because when you look back to what was stolen, 1 trillion ang pinag-usapan eh. Sana naman if they can do something about that, yung restitution na yung nawala, those money can really be a big help at this point in time.
Ang
In fact,
sinasabi niyo,
merong mga
Chairman,
proposal ngayon, in fact, ang proposal ngayon ay permanent lift na yung excise tax sa fuel. Kasi hindi naman daw sin tax yan. It's not a sin product eh. It's a basic necessity. Bakit daw may sin tax?
Yes.
Yung fuel.
Alam
Yung
ko,
sa proposal na yon.
alam mo dati that excise tax is a big revenue source for the government. Kaya indirectly, the consumer or the industry is being taxed unreasonably. Kaya I'm all for removing that excise tax.
ang sinasabi niyo, Chairman, ay itong crisis na ito is also a good opportunity for the government na mag-ayos. Yung matagal nang sinasabi na anti-corruption, yung matagal nang sinasabi na better tax collection, yung matagal na sinasabi na isara na yung mga white elephants sa gobyerno, ito ngayon ay isang opportunity para gawin yon. Usually, a crisis ay hindi lang negative. A crisis can be positive in terms ng mga opportunity na matagal nang hindi ginagawa.
Definitely, I'm with you 100%. Itong situation natin ngayon, and I openly talk about this, hindi naman gawa ng private sector eh. Yung malaki na wala, hindi naman gawa ng private sector, gawa ng gobyerno eh. Kaya sila mismo, they should find a solution. But don't squeeze it out to the private sector because money that were lost are really money that the taxpayer paid. So yung sinabi mo kanina, I'm 100% behind the government should really address some of this issue, some of the loopholes. Yung budget na yun, yung 6.7 trillion, kung may mga lugar na hindi ka dapat ganun kalaki, they should review it and trim it down, and if the money can be repurposed for this crisis.
Sir, there's the DOE sent show cause orders to I think a little over 70 gas stations for
Profiteering daw.
anti-competitive practices, let's just say alleged anti-competitive practices. And then the question on people's minds, sa isip ng lahat ng tao at this point is, why did oil prices move so fast when these gas stations are still using reserves? Diba? Hindi pa po ito imported oil. We know the answer because it's a replacement cost and all of that. But baka meron kayong insight, sir, on the process of how oil companies import the oil and why it happens that the prices move so fast.
Dagdag lang sa tanong ni Reg, Chair. Halimbawa, yung ibang oil companies, hindi ganun kalaki yung itinaas. Tapos yung iba, sobrang taas. Di ba?
Baka lang meron kayong insight, sir, into
Something is wrong.
how that happened.
Hindi, ang ano ko lang dyan, kasi kanyang-kanyang yung sa operation, sa business operation, may mga iba, mas malaki yung inventory nila, no? Halimbawa, they have more than 30 days or 45 days of inventory. So, at least they can track on, no, for a longer time without too much increase. Yung mga iba, I heard that there are some of them they don't have an inventory of 30 days. Kaya the replacement cost kicks in right away. Ibig sabihin, halimbawa na naibenta nila yung crudo at the old price, pagbalik ng pera, ang kaya nila sa pera na yan, mga less 30% of crude that they can buy. So that's the economic side of things, no? But I do agree that most businesses are worried about this. But in the private sector, as we have experienced during the COVID, when prices start going up, the private sectors are the business sectors are very careful. Normally, if we can drag it out, the longer, the better, no? But there comes a tipping point na talagang hindi kaya nila, they have no choice. But we don't want to unreasonably burden the consumer also. We think that this is a crisis. Everybody is in the same boat. Let's do our part, no? Na if we can help mitigate a bit, let's not take advantage of the situation. No? Yung nako-hoarding, yung naka-overpricing. I think on that side, the DTI should also be very vigilant at this point in time, because there are bound to be some businessmen that would take advantage of the situation. But as a whole, I would, in the past experience during the COVID, we can see as a whole, the business sectors are responsible. They don't want to, as I said, increase a price that is not justified.
But sir, if you don't mind, can I just canvass your opinion with regard to the use of replacement costs versus acquisition costs doon sa oil industry? I know it's a different industry altogether, pero as a businessman, can I canvass your opinion on that? Kasi some people are also saying na parang we know that it's the system being used right now, but why is that system in place? And why do we have to accept it as is or as a fact? And is there anything that we could or should do about it? Your point of view as a businessman.
Well, I would like to think that from the government side, they can deal on a country to country relationship, okay, wherein we can get more allocations on reasonably priced crude oil. But the crux of the matter now is even the shipping out of the oil. Ang Strait of Hormuz is now a choking point. Some of the tankers are there, but they cannot ship out because of the fear that they might be targeted. And one of the fact that the shipping lines are not, plying their routes is because a lot of the insurance coverage have been withdrawn. In other words, bahala kayo sa sarili mo. If you cross that Strait of Hormuz and then you get bumped, you take the full risk. And that is why everybody's a bit careful, because the insurance companies, you know how they are, no? It's like the going is that when there's no rain, they provide you the umbrella. When there's still rain, they take away the umbrella. Now, I don't know how true it is. No? It's not fair to talk about them like that. But they have to look at the risk factor. At this point in time, when this war is going on, anything can happen. And it might be too risky for them to ply the routes with a tank full of oil. And that is the choke point. That is why even the delivery of oil mismo is curtailed to the extent that everybody has to budget, their consumption. And even the processing, the oil refining processing, it's a continuous process. No, you cannot say you stop today, then you start tomorrow. It cannot. They have to have a drawn out the processing, so that the stop would not be abrupt, and the startup, because like in business, especially in manufacturing, magastos yung startup when you stop completely, then you start up. So I think they have those in mind. That's why they are studying the matter and see how one can navigate under this situation.
Okay. We'll leave that there. Thank you so much for talking to us
Okay,
today and
thank
explaining
you.
all of that.
Thank
PCCI
you,
Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Salamat, Chair.
Chairman
Thank you,
Emeritus
sir.
George Parsalon. Salamat, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I think the Senate session is back.
Yeah,
The
and the
face-off between Senators Marcoleta and Lacson. Let's take a listen.
Marami ko pong sinabi kahapon do sa aking privilege speech, inisa-isa ko yung dapat napuntahan natin. Para sa ganon, lahat ng inaakala nating ebidensyang magtuturo kung saan dapat at kung sino dapat ang managot, doon lang natin makikita at ang taong bayan po ay nakikinig at nagbabantay. So, gusto ko pong malaman, Sir President, kung totoo po lahat ang kanyang paninindigan na pupuntahan natin ang lahat ng ebidensyang maaari nating makuhanan, pwede po bang revisyuhin niya yung aking privilege speech. Nandun po lahat, inisa-isa ko. At nagtapos nga po ako doon sa 18 ex-marine officials saka iba pa yatang mga official ng ating sandatahang lakas ang nandun. Lahat po ba noon ay pupuntahan natin? Open po ba siya, Mr. President, na puntahan natin? Alang-alang doon sa pagkuha natin ng katotohanan. At makukuha lang natin ang katotohanan kung haharap lahat ang mga taong binanggit ko sa aking privilege speech. Huwag tayong magbibigay ng teorya ng kahit ano. Ako po'y nananalig na kapag sila'y humarap, may kakayahan naman ang komite, Mr. President. Makita natin kung talagang nagsisinungaling o hindi. Meron po tayong patakaran. Meron tayong remedyo kapag nagsisinungaling sila. Nakukontempt natin, ikinukulong po natin ang nagsasabi ng hindi totoo. Payagan lang natin, lahat sila may karapatang magsabi, mag-contribute sa ikahahanap ng katotohanan na lahat po tayo ay merong interes. Yun lang po ang gusto ko malaman, Mr. President, kung si Senador Lacson po ay tapat sa kanyang paninindigan, dapat sana lahat po ng aking sinabi, hindi naman po makakasama, makakatulong po sa ating lahat para makagawa tayo ng isang ulat. Sapagkat ngayon, kagaya po ng kanyang inamin, ang tagal na po nung sinirculate na ulat na sa online. At sabi niya, isa pa lang po ang pumirma. So, pwede po bang malaman sa ating kasama, Senador Lacson, lahat po ba nung aking binanggit sa aking privilege speech ay tutunguhan natin sapagkat potential po na panggagalingan ng maraming ebidensya? Para tapusin na po natin ito.
Senator Lacson sat down. He no longer has the
No,
floor.
Mr. President.
Senator, the Majority Leader.
Yes, para wala na daw gulo, na di pa lalaking gulo, binulungan ako ni Senator Lacson. Yes daw.
Kailan po kaya, Mr. President, mag-uumpisa?
Ay, hindi ko na po alam yun.
Kasi po kung yes, bitin na naman po, Mr. President. Ayoko pong mabitin ng taong bayan, Mr. President. Kaya gusto ko pong malaman, kailan, anong oras, tuloy-tuloy po ba para sa ganun? Ay mapayapa naman ang kalooban ng ating mga kababayan.
Mr. President, may I respond?
Yes, Senator Lacson.
Isa lang po pakiusap ko, baka pwedeng pirmahan niyo muna yung partial committee report.
Seryoso po ba kayo?
I'm serious, Mr. President. So we can get over it, no?
Because that is a partial.
Move forward. Yes, that's a
Partial, and then you can move forward to the next one.
That is correct, Mr. President.
Paano ko po
Yes, but,
pipirmahan
again,
partial report, Mr. President? Ang gusto ko makumpleto muna, kaya nga po ako'y nakikiusap, puntahan po natin ang mga potential areas of evidence. Kung payag naman po kayo, umuuna kayo, tinatanong ko lang ngayon, meron na po ba tayong schedule? Sana mo po, kahit weekly lang, Mr. President, tapusin na po natin ito.
I believe that the Committee on Rules should tackle that particular question because today I found out that those members, those so-called ex-military soldiers that you're mentioning and the people behind it, some members of Congress filed a case of cyber libel on them. And therefore, I think the Committee on Rules should check first whether we can call a hearing on that particular issue kung ganong merong kaso at meron ongoing case. So I suggest that your question and the privilege speech and the ensuing debates thereafter be referred to the Committee on Rules. I would like to entertain a motion to that effect, Mr. Majority Leader. I don't think we can answer the question of Senator Marcoleta now because of that particular issue.
Yes, Mr. President.
Dahil po ba, Mr. President, merong nagsampa ng demanda doon sa mga taong inakala nating makakatulong sa atin? Magiging sagwil na yon para hindi natin sila tawagin. So, ibig sabihin pwede palang i-demanda na lang at ang gustong magkukusa na pumunta rito, tapos na tayo.
I cannot answer your question. That's the reason I'm saying that we should ask the Committee on Rules to rule on that. You can be right, you can be wrong. But I do not want to answer you and tell you that you are right and that we could do that. It's better that we have the Committee on Rules decide. You are a member of the Rules Committee. Why don't you take it up? That is the best thing to do. And not belabor the issue. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I'm not belaboring the issue kasi po sumagot na si Senator Lacson. May pagpayag na po. So wala na pong problema doon. Ang pinag-uusapan na lang para malinawan, schedule na lang po hinihingi ko.
Yes, he has not given the schedule yet. And he might even think of checking with the Rules Committee first on whether we can do that right away or not.
Salamat po, Ginoong Pangulo.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. The good Minority Floor Leader would just also want to weigh in.
The Minority Leader, Senator Alan Cayetano,
Mr.
recognized.
President, good afternoon. Sir President, obviously po, iba ang point of view ng dalawa nating kasamahan. Pareho nating ginagalang. Let me appreciate the passion of both of them to get to the bottom of the biggest scandal, at least monetarily, the biggest graft and corruption scandal to hit the country in our history. No? If you look at the amounts, it's staggering. But may I make this manifestation just to encourage all of us that there are simple ways also of finding some solutions to the problem. Ayokong maliitin po ang trabaho ni Senator Lacson. Ayokong maliitin po ang trabaho ni Senator Marcoleta. Pareho po silang nagsusumikap na malaman ng totoo, pero napaka-politically charged ng ating pong environment ngayon. First, Mr. President, I'd like to mention, during the budget hearing, I asked Secretary Vince Dizon a very simple question. Ba't hindi nalang utusan lahat ng DE, samahan ng COA, samahan ng barangay captain, sa listahan na hawak ng DPWH ng 2023 or 2022 pa hanggang 2025 project, kunan lang ng picture. Para kung may picture at hindi pa bayad, hindi ghost yon. Kung may picture, walang project at bayad na, ghost yon. Kung may problema, substandard o kung ano man, kita na natin sa picture. Kasi si Senator Lacson na mismo ang nagsabi din sa atin na as time goes by, umiiba yung numbers ng actual na ghost at hindi. No? Number two, Mr. President, I think many of us, and I'd like to appreciate Senator Win Gatchalian here, cautioned that when there are investigations sa graft and corruption, minsan mas malaki pa ang tama kapag ka natigil yung mga projects. I brought this up sa DPWH na pag kinancel nyo lahat ng project, baka walang kumuha niyan. But since yung top 10, nandun, instead of bantayan, insist, wag bayaran, kinancel lahat, so nakatiwangwang most if not all. But number three, I approached Senator Win right before I asked the Majority Leader to speak. Nabasa ko po sa online, sa major dailies na wala pang nabibid sa 2026 budget ang DPWH. I'm not that sure if that's 100% correct. But it seems to be correct na marami sa mga project hindi pa nabibid. One of the problems daw was the pricing of materials na maaring magbago na naman because of the price increase. So this is the problem, Mr. President. Presyo pa lang at project. But for every school building na madelay, isang buong generation ang hindi makakapag kukuha ng quality education. Ganun din po sa farm to market road. Isang 5-10-year generation ng ating farmers ang lalong maghihirap at mas mababa presyo kasi hindi magagawa yung farm to market road or irrigation. So, again, hindi ko minamaliit yung mga pinag-usapan today, yung mga pag-uusapan, sinong iimbitahin, how we follow the evidence, who does the evidence point to, sinong mastermind. But let me just emphasize na dalawang problema to o tatlong problema in one. Hold someone accountable, but how do we put enough trust in our system, in DPWH, in our infra projects to get it rolling, di ba? So, the third whammy, palapit na yung tag-ulan. Pag hindi na bid ang project ng hanggang April, hindi po mag-uumpisa yung mga projects ng May. Parati nating hinahabol ang summer kasi doon po mabilis gawin ang mga project, lalo kung may excavation. Pag ginawa natin ang projects ng June, July, maraming delay dahil nga tag-ulan. Ang problema, Mr. President, dahil wala tayong budget for flood control this year at sabi gagamitin yung pang last year, pero hindi pa natin sure kung nilagay yon tapos tumigil lahat ng iba, I think many of us are expecting, are hoping walang baha this year. But I think logic would dictate na sana hindi. God forbid that there will be massive floods, but there will be. So gusto ko lang bigyan diin, Mr. President, na nagkainitan man today. We have two passionate colleagues who want to get to the truth. And part of getting to the truth is ayusin yung sistema. So I hope that in the next few days, maybe the chairman of the Public Works Committee, maybe the chairman of yung sa Transpo, maybe the head of our finance committee, di ba, can get to the bottom of this. Kasi nga, time is running out. Napakababa ng GDP natin for the fourth quarter. Ilan araw na lang tapos na first quarter. Tapos nangyari pa yung sa Middle East. So as we pray for the US, for Iran, for the whole Middle East, for Israel, as we pray for peace, as we pray for our OFWs, we have to act at ayusin natin ang problema sa infrastructure. So make me just emphasize that, Mr. President, na habang hindi natin natatapos tong investigasyon, ang problema, ang naging casualty din na hindi kasalanan ng kusino man dito sa kwartong ito, pero naging unintended consequence yung delay sa pagbibid at pag-aayos ng sistema. Thank you for this opportunity, Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that the privileged speech of Senator Ping Lacson, or Senate President pro tempore, and Senator, of course, the ensuing interpellations of Senator Marcoleta, together with the manifestation of our Minority Floor Leader, Senator Cayetano, be referred to Committee on Rules.
Any objection? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Referred to the Committee on Rules.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move for the reference of business.
Secretary will proceed with the reference of business.
CR lang ako, John.
Based on first reading, Senate Bill number 1943, anak regulating
Tapat may mic mo na makabarating ang
And
pinag-uusapan
there you
ninyo.
have it. The Senate is moving on to tackling other bills. Tapos na yung inaabangan natin, which is the exchange of words between Senators Ping Lacson and Rodante Marcoleta.
Ito may sariling exchange of words eh. Kaya sabi ko, takpan mo yung microphone mo, marinig ng buong bayan. yung
Reveal ba
kausap
natin
mo.
sino kausap niya?
Ano ang balita?
Kala ko break pa rin. Sorry. Kala ko break pa rin kanina eh. Hindi man ako perfect katulad nyo.
Well, your seat
Yung
is
deflection,
perfect.
jiu-jitsu style niya. Okay, what do we make of that?
Well, at least they moved on.
After
If at all, di ba? I mean,
After
at least-
nearly
Going to Committee on Rules.
after an hour and a half of back and forth between the two senators.
I wonder how it was resolved, though. If it was resolved at all.
I-resolve nga ng Committee on Rules.
But what's there to resolve?
Kung anong gagawin.
Okay.
Kung anong gagawin. Kasi napunta na sa pinailan daw ng kaso yung 18 Marines at 18 former Marines. Or some of them are former Marines.
Oo nga eh. So ang tawag ko na lang
Pag-uusapan.
18 alleged Marines because we can't prove it. But
At the very
anyways,
least, you can call them
Pero ako
18 former soldiers.
Pero lumantad si Kwan, si former National Security Advisor ni Digong, si General Esperon, vouching for the soldiers. Na sila ay soldiers.
Yung alin?
No, the same Esperon who supported General Pokis. Yung kinasuhan dahil sa...
But I think po naman eh, the Marine, the Navy, and the Army have confirmed that they are
Most of
iba-iba yung
them.
numbers former
Most of them.
servicemen.
Most of them. Pero ano nga
most
ba
of
talaga
them.
yung totoo? Yun ang tinatanong lang naman eh. Paano? May discrepancy yung numbers eh. Lahat naman yan merong records eh. No?
Like
And,
I understand, the dalawa sa kanila ata are Army, the others are Marines, but they're all former.
there were some
Former
Marines,
soldiers.
some
Former servicemen.
Army,
Pero meron talagang
may-
security lang.
but there are still 4 names na hindi pa nako-confirm.
Tapos merong mga active service dati, tapos merong reservist. Iba yung reservist kasi.
So
Baka yung apat mga agent.
Oh,
Alam mo
at the-
naman dyan sa military eh. Meron ding mga ganyan dyan eh.
And as far as we know, they have gone into hiding. But Ronald says
Apat daw sa kanila?
Magre-reappear naman.
Sabi ni Senator Trillanes, 4 or 5 doon ay binago na yung istorya. And will appear dito sa Justice sometime
That's also...
To say what? To say what?
You know, that's also
Yeah.
odd, ha? That, ano yan? Lalabas ka lang for a short while and then babaliktad ka. I mean, what's the agenda there?
Everything is odd in this country.
I use a euphemism na nga eh, odd. Pero,
But what are they supposed to say this time? Itong apat na...
Well,
according to Trillanes?
allegedly, parang binayaran sila para gawin yan, etc. etc. Ganon.
kahit pa bumaliktad sila, I also am not buying that straight up.
Kaya
Kasi,
nga, yung mga affidavit na yan, yan ba ay notarized?
yung, initially, it wasn't notarized, it wasn't signed, but the next day, na-notarize na raw, and
na-sign na
na-sign
raw.
na yung sinabit nila sa ombudsman.
Yeah, but some lawyers also point out that it's unusual to have an affidavit of 18 people
Yes, correct.
Subscribing to the same thing.
Siyempre, iba-iba yung
Because-
experience nila.
Iba-iba yung
Storya.
And imposible naman that they were together 24
pare-parehas.
All
hours
18 of them were...
at that point in time that they were alleging.
That's a
right?
very important weakness ng affidavit na yan.
Or even if parehas they work for the same people, of course the shifting will be different.
Yes.
The movements will be different. So yun yung point ni Ombudsman Remulla about it as well. Na paano nagkaroon ng 18 people on one affidavit. So he wanted to do an affidavit for each one of them para tingnan kung if it lines up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if the stories change,
Yeah.
then that's also something to look out for.
Pero kung gagawa ko ng affidavit, i-co-sign ko si Ed Lingao. Para parehas kami.
Bakit naman ako? Ba't ako?
Para-
Matatrobal ako eh. Ikaw talaga.
O sige, si Manny mo gato na.
Kung kanina ako sumasabit eh.
Kaya nga kahapon nung nahulog siya, he wanted to drag you with him, di ba?
Ito na naman.
Sarap ng tawa ni Ami, oh.
Ito na naman yung conspiracy. Oo. At
Ikaw-
least sigurado ko walang kinalaman si Ami ron. Ayun sigurado ko. Hindi ko alam yung iba rito.
Pinupush niya yung fake news na ako raw nagsabotahe sa kanya, Ani. So,
Kakasuhan mo rin ako. Ang libel.
cyber libel.
Kasi may nakita kami hawak mong screwdriver kahapon.
Talaga, this is where it starts. Talaga, ha? Sige lang eh. You wait.
Ang bawi doon,
Babalikan ka
ang bawi
na.
doon, it was not a screw, it was a bolt.
Ang tawag diyan,
po.
alam mo ang tawag diyan? Corroboration.
Corroborative, testimony.
Corroboration yan. Kaya nga ilalagay ko sa affidavit yan.
corroborate mo nga ako. Did you say?
Malayo-layo yung upo sa'yo ni Henry.
It's two against
Ayaw
two.
lumapit sa'yo eh.
Napaka-seryoso ng debate sa Senate, tapos napakawalang kwenta ng ating
Oo nga.
usapan dito.
Oo nga. Ayaw. Tumaas na shipping Shipping rates going up.
Ano?
Flight airfares going up. Power rates going up.
Everything's going up.
Kaya tumawa na lang
I can
tayo.
imagine book airfare going up ha?
Hindi, yung isang airline sa Lebanon, pinakita sa, at saka sa Turkey, pinakita ng isang kaibigan ko na nandun, nag-increase 4 times economy.
I can imagine. Kasi for example, yung kerosene, ang highest for this week will be 125, 135 per liter. Ganon. But aviation fuel is a derivative of kerosene eh. So hindi siya lalayo
8% daw tinaas.
Pero ang isang problema kasi dyan, hindi lang yung cost ng fuel eh. Yung dami ng tao na gustong
Yun din,
umuwi.
yun din.
Diba? Nag-aagawan yan.
Tapos konti lang flights.
Dahil limited lang ang flights eh.
Dahil konti lang airports na bukas.
Baka magmura yung flight mula rito papunta ron. Walang gusto bumiyahe.
Kung may makukuha kayo. Pero
Hindi,
tingnan natin.
Book, mag-skyrocket yung premiums ng insurance niyan for flights.
Oo. Pero ngayon, halimbawa,
Kasi war insurance tawag yan eh.
yung mga nag-i-insure sa mga negosyo sa Middle East, atrasan ngayon. Kaya isa yun sa mga nagko-collapse, maliban pa sa tourism. Ano, isa sa pinakamalaking negosyo sa Middle East is tourism. Diba? Dubai, Abu Dhabi, etc. Ngayon, tigil yan. Halimbawa, isang
ang
bomba lang
DepEd
sa
gusto
Kuwait,
lang
isang bomba lang na tumama sa Kuwait, yung buong oil industry, tigil. No? Diba? Tigil eh.
Baka naman meron ng laman nga yung sinasabi ni Trump na bibilis na yung yung pag-resolve ng conflict.
Mahirap eh,
Doon mo
Ami.
hindi nabalitaan ng mga Iranian.
Oh, mahirap, Ami, dahil itong pumalit na leader, itong anak ni
Yan na nga,
Khamenei.
hindi nga nila nabalitaan.
Kwanto hindi ito basta-basta. Yung buong pamilya niya, tatay, nanay, asawa,
Patay.
anak, lahat yan pinatay ng US tsaka Israel. Kaya hardline yan, ha? Mga kwanto, mga zero-sum game ng mga tao. Yung nothing to lose. Kaya hindi ganun
Eh,
kadali.
ang kinakausap daw ni Trump, si Putin eh. Nakakampi ng Iran. So, sideways yung ano niya.
Medyo there's a
Na
roundabout way of
pag
going about it.
Medyo malayo.
Oo.
At saka ang feeling
Pero
ng
yan ang kakampi ng Iran. Eh, tingnan natin kung ano mangyari.
China rin. China rin, kakampi ng
Kaya
Iran.
naman, positive thinking, puro bad news.
You know how difficult it is to predict how long these things will go?
Yeah.
A good example lang, yung the invasion of Iraq in 2003, people were predicting a long drawn fight eh.
Oh.
It took the Americans a little more than a month to
Yes.
push Saddam
Pero
off.
pero pagkatapos,
Iba-iba.
nagkaroon
Kaya
ng
nga,
insurgency.
Yeah. Iba
At-
naman yun, di ba?
At-
Ibang phase
At
naman.
eventually, nung umalis yung mga Amerikano, ang pumalit na gobyerno, pro-Iran.
Hmm.
Shia,
Shia.
militia. Diba? Hanggang ngayon. So, medyo weird, no? Medyo weird yung nangyari.
Kaya
Parang
nga,
sa
baka
Afghanistan.
bumilis.
Diba? Hindi nila na-sustain
Kaya-
yung pagpapatakbo ng Afghanistan.
Isn't that, yun nga yung point eh. It's, there's been a lot of precedents in the past. Parang,
Syria,
have we
Libya.
not learned
diba?
anything from these wars, from these crises?
Eh, gusto lang
Katulad ngayon,
magpaano
diyan
ni
sa
Trump eh.
Iran, kung sakali, just in case bumagsak yung gobyerno at magkakaroon ng power vacuum, iba't ibang mga tribal groups ang mag-aaway dyan. There will be a civil war. May mga Armenians dyan, may mga Kurds, etc. No? So, lahat yan ayaw nila sa isa't isa. At na-maintain lang yung order because of a strong central leadership. For bad or for good. No?
Parang si Saddam, nung panahon niya.
Oh, yes.
Diba? He kept everybody in line.
Ang problema,
no matter how terrible it was.
ang problema, Ami, nagbabago-bago yung objective ng US.
Yeah.
Nung una, 2 days daw, tapos na yan. Tapos sumunod, regime
Akala niya nga
change.
Venezuela eh.
Oh, sumunod,
Akala
regime
niya mala
change na.
Venezuela.
Magto 2 weeks na, magbabago na naman yung objective. Kaya mismo yung mga commentators sa US, nagkukan sila, lost na sila.
Nahihilo.
Ano ba talaga objective?
No, I mean,
Will there be
Trump's-
troops on the ground?
President Trump said it was regime change shortly after yung video
Yeah.
na announcing it. But what regime change looks like at this point is what we don't know. Because you did take out the leader, but there's still the...
Just about everybody else.
There's still the
leader.
council.
And there has never been regime change simply through air superiority. Diba? Eh, I doubt kung maglalagay sila ng boots on the ground. Diba?
I don't think papayag ang Congress for that. I mean, hindi
Yes.
na nga sila kinonsult about this, right?
Yes. So, ibang usapin yun. Diba? Tapos,
Although they upheld him,
noong 2018,
Senate and
yung
the
buong military leadership ng Iran wiped out. Pero, may pumapalit.
I-wipe out din daw niya itong
Hindi ako
leader,
hindi ako
yung
pro-Iran.
reaction kahapon.
Dapat talagang banatan yung gobyerno dyan. Ang daming pinatay nila ng mga ng mga activists,
Kaya nga.
di ba? Pero, baka yung linawin ng US tsaka ng Israel, ano ba objective nila?
Ano yung objective?
Uubusin daw nila yung leader. Kahapon yun ang istorya.
Oo.
Uubusin nila yung leaders. So I guess targeted yung anak.
Meron kang 200,000 Revolutionary Guards, meron kang 400,000 militia, may 400,000 ka na armed forces, at meron kang 200,000 na police.
And again, yesterday we were saying it's a different terrain. Mahirap yung terrain doon. It's very mountainous.
It sits na
Wide.
plateau surrounded
And so,
by
Ang laki ng, it's a
by mountain
huge
ranges.
land area.
The Alborz range in the north
At ang
and the
pinakamahalaga,
Zagros range in
yung
the south.
Strait of Hormuz. Yung Strait, sabi ni Trump, lahat daw ng mga tankers, escorta nila papunta ron para dumaan. I doubt kung merong magpapa-escort.
Which they've done before,
Oo, na
right? The
tanker.
tanker war.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll leave that there. Thanks so much
goodbye na tayo.
joining StoryCon today. I'm Rico Pintuan, Editor-in-Chief of the Philippine Star, and Ronald Llamas, our resident political pundit.
Buti na,
Join us again tomorrow, 4 p.m. for StoryCon. I'm Regina Lay. Okay naman yung share mo.
Buti na lang, di na nahulog.
I'm Ed Ligaw, kapatid. We are one news all sides all the time.
This is the Story Conference Group or the StoryCon Group.